Hey there, Virgo. Welcome to your Mercury Retrograde reading for the retrograde that's happening on the 9th to the 29th of November. Your first row is going to represent the past cycle that you are dealing with during this retrograde. You have this full moon in Virgo. It says you are good enough. And you have this first quarter moon. It says your commitment is being tested. So I feel like your commitment to what you've been working on is basically being tested at this time here, Virgo. You always get these cards that say you are good enough. So that could definitely be something that you are working on during this retrograde. For the next, I would say longer than a month, because this has been a theme for you. So even though we have the retrograde only until the end of the month, this could be a theme that you're going to be continuing to work on for a long period of time. And it's not a bad thing, of course. Obviously saying you're good enough is a good thing that you should be doing all the time, and believing it as well would be a good idea. In your first row, which is again going to represent the past cycle that you're dealing with during this retrograde, you have the Emperor, the Hermit, and the Three of Pentacles. The Emperor can represent taking control of an opportunity or, taking advantage of opportunities that are coming your way. And I feel there are a lot of opportunities, but these opportunities are like coming from you is what I feel. As in, you are the one that is ultimately creating the opportunities for yourself. I don't know. There's just something about this reading. It seems a little bit more like the energy is coming from you. It's not like so much like, it's not like you're people are giving you opportunities is what I'm trying to spit out here, which is pretty weird because normally the Emperor would represent, getting an opportunity. He has his armor on underneath his cloak. And the whole point of the armor on the Emperor is that he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there waiting for an opportunity. And when he gets an opportunity, he takes it. So, again, in a lot of ways, I feel that there are opportunities that are coming in for you that you're going to be taking advantage of. You have the Hermit. The Hermit can represent kind of like taking, being in Hermit mode. It is your card. The Hermit is Virgo. So whenever you show up as yourself, it kind of puts you in a position of power and strength and allows you to get what you want from the reading. So I do feel that there could be a lot of success coming in for you here with the Hermit. The Hermit, he also has his inner light inside this lantern. And as I always say, he needs to shine that inner light out all over the place and get attention. So I do feel it's kind of like time for you to shine here, Virgo. Even though it's a Mercury retrograde, you could still be taking action or doing things that, kind of make you stand out. And that's what I would be doing here. The Hermit is also kind of saying to me that you've learned everything you need to learn. The Hermit, he goes through this journey of the dark night of the soul. Everything about him represents knowledge and wisdom. But again, now he needs to shine his wisdom out to the world, or he needs to shine his light out into the world. And I feel like that's the stage that you're at with the Hermit card. You have the Three of Pentacles, same thing. Three of Pentacles is about putting your work on display. He is showing his work off here to these people. He has completed his job. He's done a good job. Every single reading I've done for you this year has been talking about Virgo putting their work on display. I talk about it all the time. So, definitely could be a good time for you to show off or to show your work or to show the world what you're made of, like I said. He's done something here. There's this fire triangle here. There's this water triangle right here. The water triangle says that he did something to make his project just like a little bit extra special. It's kind of like the icing on the cake, right? And I feel like that's what Virgo needs to realize is it's almost like if you've been working on projects and you haven't been putting them out into the world, it's like maybe you think that they're not that special, but it's like you have a little extra secret sauce here, Virgo, that does make your work stand out, but it's not going to stand out if you don't put it out into the world. So, I really feel that could be kind of like a cycle that you are working on during this retrograde is putting your work on display or showing off, right? With the Emperor, here you go. You have the Hermit again. So, like I said, I literally said on the Hermit or on the Emperor that these opportunities are coming from you. And we get confirmation from the universe with that Hermit that these opportunities are coming from you, and you are the one that's going to be showing off or shining your inner light. And with the Hermit, you have the Six of Swords. Yeah, it's like time to come down from the mountain. Six of Swords is moving on to calmer shores. But, the Hermit just needs to move forward. There are some theories, like in the book, The Fearless Tarot, which is one of my favorite tarot books of all time. That he says in that book, Elliot, who's on YouTube, by the way, he says that his feet are frozen at the top of the mountain, and he could easily put this lantern down by his feet and he could set himself free. So it's like he has the knowledge necessary to make forward progress. And the Six of Swords is all about moving on to calmer shores. And I feel a lot of you could be creating these improvements. The thing about the Six of Swords is sometimes I feel the Six of Swords is like a back to the drawing board type card, where it's like you're not really starting over, but they kind of are starting over. That woman and the child in the boat there, they have nothing on them but the clothing on their back. So they are completely starting over for the hopes of a brighter future. And again, I don't necessarily think you're like completely starting over on anything, but you could be moving on from things that you think you need that you really don't, or you could just be moving on to calmer shores, like I said. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, progress, pretty good here, Virgo. You go up to the Chariot, from here to the Chariot, with this Knight of Pentacles. So I feel like you are making progress here. Now, I've done a bunch of these readings already, and a lot of people have had a lot of progress, which is kind of surprising, during a Mercury retrograde. But it is possible because, during retrogrades, we can revisit things that we've been working on and we can make progress on things that we've already been doing. So, again, maybe you're making a lot of progress or getting a lot of answers. I think this has been a very slow year in a lot of ways. It's like been very quick. I can't believe we're already at the end of the year, but I think it's been slow as far as progress is concerned. And, I think maybe at the end of the year here, this retrograde is a little bit of a blessing, I think, for people, because it could be allowing people to look at what they wanted to do and to get it done, right? So I feel pretty good about it in general. Next, we're going to look at, what needs closer attention at this time. You have this black cat. It says your luck will change soon. You have this Sphinx. It says choose your words carefully. A lot of people have had cards about their words, and Mercury retrograde is all about communication. So make sure you are speaking about yourself and the things you're working on and the things you're doing positively, of course, here, Virgo. But it is also a very lucky time. We have this water trine that's happening this month, and it's going to be happening with Jupiter in Cancer. So, I think that this water trine is kind of like a little bit of a blessing this month for people, and, could be bringing people blessings, or could be changing luck, or making, kind of creating lucky breaks. Again, especially if you've been working on something specific for a long time and have been wanting like a breakthrough, I feel like that could be where your luck is coming from. You have the Ten of Wands, the Seven of Cups, and the Hierophant. The Ten of Wands can represent carrying a heavy burden. I do feel that what needs closer attention is your burdens at this time, Virgo. The Ten of Wands is not really a bad card. He's about to reach his home. But some of those wands might be obligations or challenges or difficulties that don't really belong to him. They could be other people's issues, or, could just be things he just doesn't need in his life. So you have to look at the things, or the habits, or the people, or the places, or the things that are weighing you down, and you have to cut those things out, or, limit your exposure to those things that are slowing you down. Overall, I feel pretty good about this. If you are, again, I think if you have a specific goal that you've been working towards specifically, that you should pay closer attention to that goal. I also think that, he can't see. Those wands are covering his face, so he doesn't see how close he is to the goal. And really, the Ten of Wands says if you release some of those responsibilities that aren't yours, you can see how close you are to the goal, and then you can get there. So, it might be time to like clear up the energy. You have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, I would be careful of like confusion or things that are confusing. The Seven of Cups, he is dreaming of a dream, but there are good things and bad things in those cups in front of him. And so instead of taking action, he's just like overthinking everything that could happen. And you have the Seven of Pentacles right next to it. Seven of Pentacles is a very Virgo card. It is a card of analysis. It's actually analysis paralysis. He's like, analyzing things too deeply, and he's not taking action. So I feel that these two cards are kind of tied together, the two sevens. And, if you stare at something long enough, you'll find all the problems with it. So, again, if you have a dream or something that clearly could lead to a victory, I would say instead of like thinking about it, like taking action is going to lead to the victory, right? It's like, sure, plenty of things could happen, but you're not going to know what is going to happen unless you take action. I just said to someone else that the Seven of Cups really says don't cheat yourself out of something that could be good for you. There are good things and bad things in these cups, but sometimes he doesn't take action on something because of the bad things. He thinks like, oh, these bad things could have happened, but maybe not. And so he needs to make sure he's not cheating himself out of something good. You have the Hierophant. Yeah, there's something about the rules. The Hierophant kind of represents the rules. He has a certain belief system that he's handing down to these two initiates that are in front of him here. And sometimes I think with the Hermit, we have to be willing to think a little bit more outside the box and kind of need to break the rules. Now, these aren't real rules that are going to get you in trouble. These are, just rules that people make up. And I kind of feel that the Hierophant in this part of the reading is saying you need to pay attention to the rules that you're putting in front of things that you're trying to be successful at. And you need to make sure that those rules are really true or necessary. And also, we're in a great time for breaking rules. We have Uranus and Gemini, and even though Uranus will retrograde into Taurus this month, it doesn't really matter. It's already entered into Gemini. And so Uranus and Gemini, we have to be a little bit rebellious. We have to be willing to stand out. We have to be willing to be unique, and we have to be willing to go against the grain, And the Hierophant is kind of like tradition. It's just like staying inside the box, which it really isn't going to work anymore. So don't be afraid of breaking the rules. With the Ten of Wands, here you go. You have the Chariot. Basically, whenever this happens, it's just saying that this Chariot is kind of like the solution to the Ten of Wands. So the Chariot says where there's a will, there's a way. If you want something bad enough, you will take control and make it happen. So it's a card of like hard control. We have two cards of control technically in the tarot, the Chariot and the Strength card. The Chariot is hard control, like taking control. The Strength card is passive control. And, the Emperor is controlling. So you have the Emperor as well, which is kind of funny. But, the Chariot wants you to really take control of your goals, I feel, with that Ten of Wands, and to make them happen. With the Seven of Cups, yes, you have the Fool. Yeah, I always say this is not a good answer, right? Because the answer for the Fool is to just take a leap of faith. You just have to, take that leap towards the dream on the Seven of Cups. You just have to make it happen. So I know that really isn't very good advice, but, it's the only advice I can give you. He also has these ice-capped mountains behind him. And so with the Hermit twice, the ice-capped mountains on the Fool can also represent being a little bit stuck. Now, he's afraid of looking foolish. He's a little bit maybe too afraid of what people will think. And that might be what you're working on, Virgo, is like what people think about the actions you're taking or the things that you're doing. And of course, I would just ignore it. With the Hierophant, you have the Four of Cups. Yeah, Four of Cups says you have tried things multiple times. He has tried to manifest these cups before. He's not accepting this new cup because he's tried at least 3 times before. And these 3 situations didn't work out very well for him. But he needs to realize that if he accepts this one cup into his life, if he applies the lessons that he learned from these 3 cups, he will be successful. So I feel like this is really about you looking at what you have learned. And, with this, the Knight of Pentacles, the Hierophant even, the Hierophant isn't all bad. He is a teacher, so you have learned many lessons. But now it's time to take what you have learned and to twist it a little bit, right? And that's what I would do with this card. Next, we're going to look at, the hidden messages from this retrograde. You have this Pluto card that says Rebirth and this Vesta that says Hearth on it. So definitely with, Pluto is direct now. It was retrograde since May, but now it's direct. And so you could be rebirthing something that you were thinking about since like the beginning of the year. You could be going through a personal rebirth. The Hearth card is kind of like your heart, like where your heart is going or what it's kind of more acting from your center. And so I feel a lot of you could be thinking about that as well. Virgo, make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. You have the Chariot, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. So I think the hidden message here is that if you just charge towards your goal, you will achieve it. It's just that simple. Now, the Chariot, he has a city behind him, and he's leaving that city behind him behind. So again, the card itself is about setting yourself apart, which we said with the Hierophant, not trying to fit in with the Hierophant, the Fool also showing up in that row, that second row. So I think the Chariot is about kind of like charging forward in your own direction and not trying to fit in. He is in alignment. He has these stars up here, these moons on his shoulders. The stars and the moons kind of represent as above, so below. So the reason he's going to have a victory is because he is in perfect alignment with what he wants out of life. His energy is pointing in one direction. And so I feel for you that getting your energy moving in one direction will probably lead to the most success with the Chariot and the Hierophant and everything else going on here. And that's really what I would focus on here with these energies, because I think it'll obviously make you the most successful. The Chariot can also just be a victory. So, it's like maybe you're going to have a victory and you don't even realize it. You have the Seven of Pentacles. Again, Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's looking at what he has built and what he has grown, and he's trying to decide if it's worth it or not. He's analyzing his situation. Being a Virgo, I'm talking about you, Virgo. I would be careful of getting stuck in analysis, especially with the South Node in Virgo right now. South Node in Virgo is too much perfection. It's like when the South Node is in Virgo, we try to make something perfect before it can even be perfect in the first place. And that's how we get stuck with the South Node in Virgo. So we have to be willing to be messy. And I've pretty much been saying this to you all year, that whatever change you're making or whatever you're doing, it's like it's not going to be perfect. But really, with Neptune in Pisces, the only way we can, in the North Node in Pisces, the only way we can get the right inspirations to move forward is to take action and be willing to make mistakes. During Mercury retrograde, probably one of the best things you can do is make small mistakes, because we learn from mistakes a million times faster during Mercury retrograde. So I would be paying attention. But also, don't be afraid of taking action, even though it's a retrograde. You have the Queen of Swords, which I like because she is pointing towards the Nine of Cups. She also has her back to the past, and she only has clouds halfway up her body. So the Queen of Swords can represent getting clarity on something for the first time. And it's like you are getting clarity on a wish or something that could be a wish for you for the first time. She's a little bit cautiously optimistic. Like, she has her hand up, but she also has her sword up here. So she's willing to receive something, but she's also willing to cut something out very quickly, if it isn't right for her. But I feel pretty good about it for you, Virgo, because I feel like you are at least open to doing something to receive a wish, right? Yes, with the Chariot, you have the Knight of Wands. This retrograde is starting in Sagittarius. The Knight of Wands is all about being spontaneous and being willing to be spontaneous. Again, with the Seven of Pentacles, I think you have to be messy right now, Virgo. Like, don't be afraid of just trying something and seeing how it goes. And even if it doesn't work, that's okay. The Knight of Wands is a true builder in the tarot. He tries to build something. If he doesn't work, he tries something else. He just goes to the next thing. And I feel that doing that will make you successful right here on whatever this journey is. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, a very heart-based time. We do have Uranus will be retrograding into Taurus in the middle of the month as well. And so the Ace of Cups is about doing those things that cause your heart to overflow. So we need to do more of those things that, make us flow, whatever that is for you. It could be a hobby, an interest, spending time with your family, spending time with friends. These readings aren't really meant to be love readings. So, I think this could be just being in the energy of love in general could be very helpful. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Tower. Everybody's had the Tower. I definitely would not be surprised to see Tower moments this month, especially with Mercury retrograde and all the other retrogrades going on. We're in a time of Tower moments until 2033. I talk about it all the time. I haven't been wrong, right? I predicted this before it even happened. So, we're going to see plenty of Tower moments happening, plenty of things falling apart. It's impossible not to. We had Pluto go from Capricorn to Aquarius. The Pluto going over the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius is the death of establishment. I think if you see what's going on in the world, it's clear to me that establishments are undergoing a transformation. It's pretty obvious. So, again, it just is what it is. There's really nothing to say about it, right? Next, we are going to look at how to move forward at this time. You have this ending card. It says loss, letting go, over, no, death, irrevocable conclusion, afterlife, destruction, the end of a phase. You have this courtship card. It says business or romantic meetings, social life, early stage of love, parties, meetings with friends, and events. So yeah, if you want love, of course, it's always available to you. I always tell people it's perfectly fine to date during a retrograde. You just have to understand that, it will probably be different after the retrograde, but that could be a good thing. It could be better. It could be, there could be some improvements. So it's not necessarily bad. I definitely feel like there's an ending here with the Ten of Wands, especially. It's like you're ending the struggle. And obviously that's not a bad thing. I think that ending some sort of struggle that you could be dealing with is a good thing. You have the Three of Cups, the Page of Swords, and the Nine of Cups. Three Cups is a celebration, happiness, spending time with your community. These three people are celebrating a harvest, and, but there's only three people on the card. There is something about 2025. I didn't realize it until like the middle of the year, but, this year has really been encouraging people to focus on concentrated connections, which means that maybe you're spending less time with a lot of people and you're spending more time with those people that cause you to overflow. Ace of Cups, right? So these would be people that come from a position of love and expansion, joy, celebrating your wins, things like that. And those are the people I would be spending the most time with. Definitely could be some reunions for you this month as well, during the retrograde, which it's a retrograde. So of course there could be like a reunion with people in your life or people that you haven't seen in a while. You have the Page of Swords. Yes, I would be addicted to curiosity if I were you, Virgo. Again, this retrograde, it's starting in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is all about higher learning in general, things like that. So asking a lot of questions, doing a lot of research is always good during a retrograde, but it's extra good with this retrograde happening in Sag. So I would be taking time to learn as much as you can about the things that you don't know. The other thing that comes up here is like childlike energy, and you're not the only sign to get this during this retrograde. You have the Ace of Cups, doing things that cause you overflow. Page of Swords is like the child in the tarot. Page of Swords is curious, asks a lot of questions. Children ask a lot of questions, but also, doing things that are fun, doing things that fulfill you, doing things that you actually want to be doing in your life. All that would be very good. You have the Nine of Cups. It's like, I think you need to focus on a wish. I really feel the Emperor in your reading. It's almost like you are giving yourself an opportunity to be successful. It's not like, I don't necessarily think it's coming from something external. It's almost like you're creating your own opportunity this month to find fulfillment or to find a wish, or to, kind of like start building it with the Knight of Wands. And that's really what I would focus on if I were you, Virgo, based off this reading, is like, how can I bring more of that, fulfillment energy into my life? Chariot twice, Ace of Cups. These are all cards of, being in the energy of what you want before you have it. And I think that would be probably the best thing for you to do with a reading like this. With the Three of Cups, you have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles can be holding on too tightly to the past. I actually feel pretty good about this. Sometimes I feel the Four of Pentacles can almost be like a launch pad. It can be a source of security that you're able to launch something off of, right? So obviously if you're surrounded by supportive people, then you can probably be more successful because they're supporting your vision. They're lifting you up. And, that might be something that you have to focus on, is like spending less time or no time at all with people who hate on your ideas, and more time with, even if it's only one person who supports your idea, that's enough. With the Page of Swords, you have the Hangman. Yes, Uranus and Gemini. During Uranus and Gemini, it is very similar to Hangman energy. It's not the same. Obviously this would be Pisces, but, it is very similar. We have to look for other ways of doing things with Uranus and Gemini. Now, Uranus won't move into Gemini until next year. It's, retrograding right now. Like I said, it'll retrograde into Taurus in about like 6 days after the 9th or so, somewhere around there, like the middle of the month. But what I would say is it's already been in Gemini. So, we have to look for creative, unique ideas, things that kind of, like I said, go against the grain, or things that are different. The Hangman is looking at an opportunity, but from upside down. He's looking at it from a different perspective. The Hierophant, like I said, would be one perspective. He's looking at it from inside the box, right? And so I think getting unique perspectives is going to be important. With the Nine of Cups, you have the Seven of Cups, focusing on your dream. The Seven of Cups, again, he's dreaming of something that he wants, but, he's dreaming of all the good things and bad things that could happen, and he just needs to focus on it and make it happen. You have this gong card. It says an exciting event. So there could be excitement. Even the tower, doesn't have to be bad. The tower can be excitement. So there could be something excited, some exciting events happening for you at this time, or there could be a lot of excitement. Again, we're definitely going to see some sort of global tower moment. Every time this happens, something happens, like, world leader stepping down or some sort of world event that kind of causes a shakeup. So, there you go. You have this cobweb. It says protected from negative forces beyond your control. You are protected. Again, if you're thinking too much with that 7 of Cups twice in your reading, I think you are protected, and you need to kind of like realize that with this card. You have this boot. It says increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goal. There you go. Definitely a good time to increase your efforts. You have this vine. It says seek out information that will help you. Can't make that up. Page of Swords, right? Definitely an amazing time for researching, getting information, looking for answers. You have this bat. It says take care. Enemies are working against you. I would just avoid toxic people. Plain and simple. This is not something to worry about. Definitely something I think Virgo has dealt with over the past few years, difficulties with people. But, I think you've learned in 4 Cups. You just have to apply what you learned going forward, and you will be perfectly fine. So this looks pretty good, pretty simple, Virgo. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.